I will now invite Sashi Sekhar Saab to share his thoughts. Sashi Sekhar Saab needs no introduction. I mean, in India, to the water fraternity and groundwater fraternity, he was our secretary when I was in member Central Groundwater Board, and he was so passionate about water and about groundwater. How I have no words to express that, and he always think of sustainability, and above all, what inspired me maximum from him, that he always take care of the equity of water, that certain, say, all section should get benefit of sustainable water management. So I will now request Sashi Sekhar Saab to share his thoughts. Sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dipankar and Dr. Marcella D'Souza for inviting me to share my thoughts on this important subject. You know, when this particular subject was brought in, like farm pond, it was basically aimed to improve income of the farmers and improve productivity of lands in the rain-fed area, and basically de-stress the farmers from frequent droughts. The concept was excellent. Concept has no challenge. Farm pond program became a kind of a national program, and it has a lot of meaning in areas which are not supported with irrigation, but basically rain-fed, which are dependent on entirely on the rain-fed. And areas like Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana, part Tamil Nadu, part Madhya Pradesh, etc., have significantly benefited. Actually, farm pond, as it was conceived, meant to hold surface runoff into small ponds and provide water to the crops when there is a gap between two rains, when the crops face stress because of delay in two rainfalls. And that's the time when you have to provide, it was supposed to provide that supportive irrigation to keep the crops alive and kicking. It has indeed served a great purpose to the farmers. It has stabilized the productivity of rain-fed farmers who are engaged in the rain-fed areas. It has improved income from the rain-fed areas in the country. So has done a great boon. But as any program, well-intentioned program of the government is manipulated by some for their benefited at the cost of others, I see that this program has unfortunately fallen trap to the same. Farm ponds are supposed to serve two purposes. One, as I said, that you are holding the rainwater surface runoff into a pond and provide protective irrigation to crops which face stress during two prolonged rainfalls. But it also is supposed to recharge groundwater. Prime Minister has time and again said that harvest the rainwater where it falls. So farm pond actually fits into that concept very well. So it was supposed to serve both the purposes. Both, one, as I repeat ad nauseam, to de-stress, de-water stress, I would say, of the crops on account or due to delay in two rainfalls, and second, also to recharge groundwater. If we line the farm pond, which unfortunately happens in most of the cases, Then first purpose, obviously, the second purpose obviously is defeated because it is not allowing any water to percolate to improve the groundwater. But more disastrous is if we pump groundwater to fill up the farm ponds to meet the needs. It's a double, triple whammy. This kind of action is a double, triple whammy. One, that in hard rock area like the areas that I mentioned, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra, etc., which are not very supportive of groundwater. Groundwater, by and large, is dependent on certain geological structures. In Maharashtra, particularly where this is more prevalent, this kind of arrangement, this kind of activity where you're pumping in groundwater to fill up farm pond to meet the protective irrigation is unfortunately not sustainable at all. In fact, it creates a double whammy. One, that Maharashtra in the geological past had a series of episodes of volcanic event, and you have layers of volcanic rock depositions, and between the two volcanic events you have the fractured or the weathered portion which actually hold water, and this water travels through cracks and through bubbles in the volcanic rocks, and then they're held there. If you keep mining this water, if you keep drawing this water, the groundwater table will keep going down because water travels only through cracks to the deeper and deeper layer. So ultimately, time will come when you will be mining water which has become groundwater during the Shivaji's time. This layers formed at different times. So the water table also has gone, the water has percolated down to the lower and lower and the lower layers in the historical past. So we keep, and as we draw water, the ground from those layers, the groundwater shifts to the next layer, lower layer, then to the next lower layer. So up to what point we will go? And to go down to that level needs huge resources. And some of the wells in Maharashtra would cost more than a couple of lakhs of rupees. So who can bear this loss? Who can afford this kind of investment? This is bigger farmers only, the sugarcane farmers, the bigger farmers, the orchard farmers, and more we draw water from the layers below and below. More and more, the smaller farmers will be deprived of the groundwater, which they are also using it as protective source of irrigation to meet the protective needs of crops. So ultimately, one side we deplete the groundwater, we push the groundwater down to a level where it will require huge amount of pumping and huge amount of investment. And second side, on the equity front, we are depriving the small and medium farmers of this vital input, which literally will save them at the time of crisis due to a longer gap in between two rainfalls. That kind of situation is indeed dangerous. That kind of situation is bad in implementation. I don't say it's bad in policy, but it's definitely bad in intention. And government has to see that there is a policy level intervention to ensure policy level and implementation level intervention to ensure that farm ponds are promoted, but not farm ponds which are lined. A, B, even if they are lined, at least they are not filled with groundwater. Groundwater filling of farm pond, to me, let me not sound very strong word, but it's a crime. It's a crime because groundwater is a common pool resource. Everybody has a right to access that source, and it must be equitably addressed. We had in our policy suggestion to the groundwater, to the government. I was a member of the team which drafted the national draft national water policy, which is yet to be published or has yet to be put out to the public domain. But we very strongly suggested that groundwater management, both surface and groundwater management, must be handed over to the community. Community must take the responsibility of managing groundwater and such surface runoff so that there is an equity in its distribution. There's an equity in its usage. When community sits together and decide, then first and foremost, you take into account how much of water I have, how much of resource I have within my reach. Then what I need to do to increase my reach. As a community, you decide over a watershed, over a catchment area of a aquifer. And then as a community, you decide what crop I should grow because there is a limitation in availability of water. And in that backdrop, you also set up some farm ponds so that as a community, you de-stress your crop from water needs. So taking this into account, we need to debate this and see how we how do we construct a policy where groundwater and farm pond, they complement each other, not compete with each other. Actually, we have set up a situation, we are creating a situation where they are competing with each other. And in the process of competition, we are depriving the small and marginal farmer of their vital needs, their survival. Their survival depends on this. And no wonder people in these belts, they take to extreme steps of ending their lives. They cannot afford to lose the crop. That's this means of sustenance. There's a means of livelihood, and that is what take them forward. So the policy on surface water runoff, farm pond, and groundwater should be seen as a comprehensive 360-degree and supplement it with cropping pattern, the way we deliver water to the crops from this 360 system, so that nobody faces any problem. It is equitable. It meets everybody's needs. Nobody gains at the cost of others, and that is how the entire process will become sustainable, will increase the income and increase the income of not one, but all. That's why it is required to be managed by the community. With these words, thank you very much.